Line. I bet he's.
There's somebody on there that I don't know who it is.
Thinking if it was just
Well, thank you to those that are on so far. Timely. I like it. So we're at about 10% of what we have out there as regard to mentors. We'll wait for just a second here to see if everybody comes on. I'll share this with you for now so that, oh, come on, this is one that you're supposed to. Are you guys seeing the agenda?
Yep.
Yes.
All right,
Yep.
good.
Yep. So,
I'm using two screens and it shows me differently. So we're going to go ahead and roll with this. And so very quickly, the smaller group, it'll make it more possible. And we're going to continue to work on developing, and you guys can share within your offices to those who were not able to join us today. A lot of people, by the way, are in some Con Ed. So I know our Port Huron group is with that. I've got a number of people that they were pre-committed for the Oxford group that they're doing a call out session. And there's a couple of, we'll call them mentees that are part of that. So matter of fact, there's 3 mentors in there with that meeting and actually making call outs directly with them. But here's the agenda that we're going to want to follow. So as you can see, I just would like everybody to share a quick success story, a minute or less. So not too much detail, but just those basic success stories. A best practice might actually come with that. What do I need help with? And then I'm going to give a few reminders and a few things that I've discovered that might be holding our groups back from being able to, well, meet our basic objective is the way that I would put that. So away we go. If anybody would like to start, who's got a success story for us out there?
Got one.
Go for it, Kim.
Hi, everybody. So I'm working with just this incredible gal. Her name's Jen Clancy. And she has been working with us since January. So she started in January, which was very difficult because there's not a lot going on in January and February. But we started planting some seeds and some of those things. And she just had 2 listings that popped up that we have been working on for a while. And it looks like she's going to put her first listing on the market next week. And then right after that, we have another one about 2 weeks later. So we've been working. And now we have stuff that's just starting to pop, which is so exciting for her, especially, and kind of gives her that, you know, that little bit more of that push to go to the next level.
Awesome. Sorry, I got distracted a little bit here. Scott just joined me in the Clarkston office, so he's looking from a distance. Hold on a second. Say hi.
Hey.
Awesome stuff. And again, you know, the big key that we've got as a goal for our mentees is that they're going to make money faster. They're going to become productive faster, or we're going to help them out of the business faster. We have a preference as to which one we get from them or for them. But, you know, either one is going to be okay. So good stuff. By the way, how long does it take us where we want them to have their first contract signed? Anybody know? What's our goal?
30 days.
30 days. Right on, Kim. And Dan, I would appreciate that you don't know. And if I had something for you, Kim, I would give it to you as a gift.
Yeah, really.
Remember that.
Right.
So yeah, 30 days, we want to have them with a signed contract. That would be either a buyer representation contract or a listing agreement. Either one is going to be fine because that's money in the bank. And then here's the second question. How long do we want them to be on the mentor program? What would be the goal for them to graduate? That one, Scott, give it, Dan.
90 days.
There it is, buddy. You nailed it.
I know something.
And everybody say, welcome to Dan. He was official as of yesterday as a mentor.
Thank you.
Dan.
Appreciate it.
Woo!
Dan is at the Belleville office and really excited about jumping in and being able to share what he's learned with a whole lot of other folks. So, hey, let's grab another success story. Who's got another success story we can share? Go, Karina. Let's hear it.
My mentee, Becca, she just got started. She had her wedding, so got a slow start because she had a lot of other obligations. But she did an open house last week and she did door knocking. So she went both sides back and forth. She got a buyer from it and she's got 2 potential listings. One is a buy owner right now that she's working over. Doing home renovations that she's going to have an appointment with. So
Awesome.
Awesome.
I like that. Well done. Well done. You know, it brings me a reminder that not everybody knows, but when we're dealing with new agents, one of the things that is required is high directive. Otherwise, don't give options. They get lost with options. They're like kids. They need high direction. So when you start them out, we hand them speed board and we follow up every day to just go, where are you at? How many check marks did you get done? What held you back from? So high directive, don't give them options. And where this came from for me was somebody was talking about, we were asking people if they would want to do an open house for one of the more productive agents who have a listing that might be on the market for 2 weeks. Would they want to do open houses? And I said, no, don't ask. It's a directive. There is an expectation that during your first 30 days, you'll hold at least 2 open houses. So not an option. It's one of the ways we know that they can get business. So thank you for bringing up that. And again, a positive story. Who's got something from the blue side that they can share with a success story? Blue crew? Blue crew? Wait, uh-oh, that's kind of scary. All right, well, let's do this. I want to go around and everybody give me one thing that would be, I need help with, I've got a question with. Dan, I'm going to bypass you at this point because you and I are going to get together and you're brand new at it. Terry, you're next on my screen. What would you look at that you would need help with today? Question or an assist, an understanding?
There's a new program out there with Relo that is giving leads to independent people that can't qualify for a mortgage. And my mentee has able to get a buyer. Solidified, had a closing, so it was part of a success story. And the Relo team worked with him directly, and he was able to deal with the computer system, and they handled it all on his own. But I don't know much about the program itself, so I haven't really had time to investigate more about it. But he's on fire with it.
I need an hour. I forgot I got this ComEd thing.
There we go. I got one of them, Bob. All right, thank you, Terry. Awesome. Any help with that at all, or was there anything else that you did need help with? All right, good deal. And I see Martha and Mary there, so they've got all of their folks together. What would we have as a need? And thank you, ladies, 2 of the most productive ones who are mentors sitting right there. Any need that you would have for the day? Help with clarifications, anything of that nature?
Good afternoon. How's everyone?
Hey, Jerome, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing wonderful.
Hey, listen, I'm going to jump to you as long as you're right there. We're doing a I need help with or a clarification. Anything for you?
Well, from a mentor perspective, I need help with inspiring potential agents or agents in search of a transaction to be more proactive as it relates to prospecting. And things that I've recommended is the people that are most likely to do business with you are those people that know you, they love you, and they trust you. And I put those under the category of sphere of influence.
Yes.
And where I need help is encouraging them to believe in that philosophy and actually begin to act on it.
Cool.
And what it simply means is talking to people on a regular basis.
All right.
Because I've had a few experiences, and these are just personal examples. People that I know.
Hey, Jerome, only because of how I want to hit this, and we got 1 hour.
Yes.
I think I've got enough to help. But
Okay.
I want to capture a few of these first, and then we'll come back around and offer some assistance. Does that work?
Perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. Kim, go ahead.
So I have a situation, same situation. My mentee has been working really hard, and she had 2 potential, 1 buyer, 1 listing. We had them contracted, we're out looking at houses, and all of a sudden they just kind of like ghosted her. And the listing we were supposed to get kind of blew up in our face because of some personal issues with the seller and her husband. So I've talked her through it, and I've said, they're going to sell the house. It's just not going to be as quickly as we thought, but she's getting discouraged, like, you know, how difficult that is. And I'm just trying to be as positive as I can and reinforcing that it's going to happen and all that, but I could use some additional, what other things can we do when things blow up? Because we all know things blow up, right?
Yep. I'm making notes so that we can come back and we'll address what we can with these and give ourselves all the time. So basically how to keep it positive.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Jack, what do you got for us? Need help with?
I have 2 mentees right now that are both, one of them is actually under 20 and the other one is early 20s, and they don't use the phone. So I need to motivate and try to get them to use, how do you get these new younger kids to actually make phone calls, because they don't call people.
Okay.
It's all text.
Awesome. I like that one, actually. That's pretty solid. Who else has got hey, here's what I need help with? Because not everybody's got somebody, and you might not be running into stuff, but here's a specific I need help with to be able to get these people doing what they need to do.
So Rebecca,
I'll tell you, I got Scott one here, and Karina, I'll come to you next.
Mine's just life happening, that his life is, he's a young man. He's just had a second child. His car got in an accident. He's carless. All the negative things that, he could be a pizza guy in the evenings, and now he's a pizza guy full time. And so it just kind of like, I just kind of lost it an answer to give him more direction. I mean, I feel bad for him, obviously, but he needs to live.
That's an interesting one. And one that if we remove the specifics, there'd be a lot of that. All of us would experience that individual. So Karina, what do you have?
The one thing that we're stumbling with my mentee is she's not from this area. She's a transplant from Jackson and doesn't know many people in this area. And so she doesn't have like a group that she's in or a church group, or she's just joined a sports team, a group of people, and she's thinking that, that will help, but it's in Detroit. So, she needs to come further out here. So any advice of, how they get out there, all I can tell her is you can't spend every day in the office from 9 to 5. That's not this kind of job. You have to be out there seeing and meeting people. But anybody that can help me out with that would be great.
So basically, I don't have any sphere of influence. I'm new here.
Yeah.
And that will be another one. If you don't have it now, you will. It's going to happen. So I'll tell you what, let's go through and let's address those. And the first one we've got is the inspiring agents to do what they're supposed to do, prospect. who can, and by the way, this is for us to share with each other. I'm going to try to hold back my input until the end so you guys can learn from each other. But Dan, go ahead. What do you got that can help?
With the prospecting, even though I don't have a mentee yet, but what I found is, for me being a young man just turning 28 a couple weeks ago, is that phone calls were a bit of a hurdle because it almost comes to, like, you call people that are really close to you, it's more intimate. So calling somebody that you don't know is like this weird hurdle to get over. And that's the best way I can put it. And to play on, like, you know, the younger individuals, I can see how that would be a hurdle. And for me, finding out why am I calling was very important, and making sure I understand that I'm not bothering people. I'm providing a service for them, or just an information, or, you know, because I'll tell you, I do not like texting people for business purposes. The phone call is the best way to do it because you can actually talk with them. They hear your voice. It's more of an intimate situation. Of text message you can ignore, but I think that's kind of like when you're calling your like first friend on the phone at home, or like maybe calling your first girlfriend on the phone. It's like, it's nerve wracking. It's because you haven't done it a whole lot of times. It's just getting over those hurdles. It's, you know, when you start out, you're a little clunky at first, your first phone calls, but by the end of it, you're smooth sailing. And it's just getting them that confidence, or at least for me, it was that confidence of, I'm not bothering people. I'm helping them. I'm their guy.
Work with what's going on between their ears.
Yes.
And that's a constant one. And what I would share with you there is, just like we talk about with selling, coaching is really asking the questions. Let's identify what the real issue is before we start telling them what they could or should do to overcome something. And actually, Dan, I'll throw out that maybe the best person for them to talk to is not the people that they know, because that might be intimidating for them. So have them call the people they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Once they're comfortable there, then they can call the people that they know.
Exactly. And it's that why do I call? Well, we got
why. We've got to remember, boy, there's a lot that I got to hold back on. And so I'm going to hold on that for right now, because much of it will come. Mm-hmm. Any other thoughts toward the inspiring agents to prospect? There's got to be some more out there. What can we help with?
Barb has a thought.
Shoot it, Barb.
So when you guys are talking about like the sphere of influence, I think a lot of, especially the younger people, and something that Martha does in our meeting, in our sales meeting, we always talk about where our source came from, but we can tell people that we're getting the source from the sphere of influence, but I don't think people understand the sphere of influence. So they think, okay, I'm not going to call my aunt because she just bought her house last year. They're not moving. They don't understand that it's the aunt's best friend that they don't know about, that the aunt's going to say, hey, call my niece. So you have to walk them through that simplicity of saying, look, when I mean sphere of influence, I don't mean your aunt because she bought her house last year, but your aunt's friend or her coworker. Those are the people you have to talk to, because then they're going to tell their friends and their other 25 that you don't know. And so I don't think people understand that connection. They think sphere of influence and they think, well, I'm not going to call Uncle Bob because he's not moving. He lives at grandma's farm and he's never selling that. Do you know what I mean? They don't think that Uncle Bob is still a source. So we have to coach them through what sphere of influence really means. It doesn't mean those 100 people on your list. It means they're 100. And people just they miss that. So they miss opportunities by not talking.
I love that, Barb. You're absolutely right. They just need to talk, because it's not the person directly, but the people that they know that we're going to get business from. So, and along with that, Barb, I think you brought up another great point. A lot of people have a small sphere of influence list. I've been impressed with the numbers that I actually had with those that I met with last week, that their lists were 150, give or take. But what we know is we want them to get up to about 300,000 or 300,000. 300, that's a number that I want everybody to make, but 300 on their list, because that becomes 30 a year that they should have as a closing, as long as they're following that very simple 4-4-12 365. So we've got to help them understand that you may not have a phone number or an email address or their home address, but you have the relationship, and you may only have the first name. Put them on the list. get that information, but continue to grow that. Any other thoughts to inspiring agents to prospect, to pick up the phone,
got one,
to
got
just
one.
talk to people? Go ahead.
So, kind of following up on the last person, when you have your prospects making those phone calls, especially if they're new in the, never having bought, ask their sphere of influence, what was your experience like? Because I want to be a good agent and I want to hear what your experience was like so I can learn.
I like that. I like that. Let me then also add one other thought. We'll move on. They need to be shown how to do it. See, they don't see it. Matter of fact, look around the office and see how many people they see using the telephone and talking to people, period, let alone actually agents calling and talking to their sphere. So one of the things that I put into the updated speed board is to have your mentor demonstrate a call to the sphere of influence. Have your mentor demonstrate a call to a FSBO, to an expired, to everyone, because they need to see it done to become comfortable with it. Go back to your own experience. Did anybody show you how? Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. Most of us probably weren't trained well. Is that a fair statement for most of us? So one of the things I put on the agenda was the how-to pathway, the how to get them properly developed. So write this down, if you would, on your notepad. Step number one is to tell them how. See, we're gonna say, call your sphere of influence. Well, there's instruction out there that tells them how to do it. If they're jumping right on it like they should, they may not have had any instruction. Well, give them the basics. Everybody's been to boot camp, Top Gun. You've been to AMP or Accelerate. We all know, but there's a basic process. Express to them what you're going to do. Then two, show them how to do it. So if I say, you're going to call your sphere of influence, there's a basic thought as to how you do it. There's an introduction. There's a reason for the call, identifying whether or not we have a prospect, asking for a referral, and then we're closing the call. Or we're closing for the appointment. Well, then we go to step two and we actually do what we've just informed them. And we show them how we do that by making a few calls. Third step, now that they've heard how to and they've been shown how to, now we turn around and we make them do it while we're sitting there. So I'll go back to the point of the way that we started. New agents need high directive. There is not an option. This is what you must do. How do we know that they'll do it? We sit there and we watch them do it. Not an option. This is what you must do. Okay? So, fourth step is where we coach. And that's really where our follow-up lessons are at. But the watch me is to confirm that I'm getting how to do it, that I've heard what I heard, I saw it, now I've done it. And those are some of the biggest keys. So when it comes to inspiring agents to do the prospecting, make them do it. I don't know how else to put it. We know there's one of two ways. They've got to do one of two things, but remove the option and create the expectation. So hopefully that helps with that one. How about going to what Kim brought up with the aspect of keeping them positive when the balloon bursts they get in the accident, that real estate happens. How do we help agents through that one?
Lindsay just sent me a house that is 160.
Anyone? What do you
I'll
do?
take it.
Go,
What I
Dan.
do for me is I write down all of my issues and start categorizing what I can control, what I can't control, and focus on what I can control. And that's a pretty effective method, surprisingly. It's super simple, but it'll really take your stress levels down when you just focus on what you can control. Other things, accidents you can't control that you got to pay your bills, but you start writing down what you can do something about, and you can just focus all your energy there instead of focusing energy worrying about something that I can't do anything about.
All right. In matter of fact, if I came to a simplification of that, Scott and I were talking earlier. Ask a question of yourself. Simply do this. Can I do anything about it? And Dan, that's kind of what you're talking about. If I can't do anything about it, why let the emotional roller coaster happen? Matter of fact, this is the part of coaching when we're mentoring, is wipe out the drama. And hey guys, by the way, if you're not on, go ahead and mute, because some of you have background noise and I can't tell where it's coming from. So if you would mute.
Well, that one, I just
yeah.
that one is a flip.
Oh, here, I know who it is. There, we got it. Okay, so with that, make sure you're working on your mindset. But I would also tell you this. In your working with them, your expectation needs to be delivered. They need to know real estate is all nice and rosy. As a matter of fact, what we always remember is that we fix people's problems. Problems are going to arise. We fix them. For us to get into the drama is only create or will create bigger problems. So as I always put it, suck it up, buttercup. How do you fix it? And if you can't fix it, get over it and move on. It is what it is. And I think it's, again, creating the expectation so that when it does occur, they're not upset by it. They went, oh, yep, Kim, you told me that stuff like this is going to happen. And so is there anything that we can do? What can I do? And preferably they come to you with, hey, here's what I'm thinking we could do with this. Am I on with this? Is there something else I should do? Best thing that we can do is to actually have them come up with the sources to that. But any other thoughts or suggestions toward that one?
I like the concept coming from Dan. Focus on the things that you can control. I like that.
It's awesome. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Matter of fact, can I borrow?
Go ahead, Jerome.
I was just saying, can I borrow that?
Feel free.
Yeah, we can all borrow that. That's why we're doing this. Just what you always do is you got to say, I learned this from a good friend of mine, Jerome. Dan Gonta gave me this one, and you got to give him credit 3 times, then you own it after that.
Oh, man.
That's the way it'll work.
Okay.
How about this? The young ones, you got to use the phone. What do we do with them? Because we know the young people, although it's always in their hand, they do more texting than they do talking. Thoughts? Who's got help with that one?
I have a comment on that one.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
So I think it's just like anything else. And, and any of us that have kids that are in that generational, thing too, we kind of go through that trying to explain to them that text messages don't get across the emotion of the conversation is huge. And maybe pointing out, like some of the things I do is I'll point out different things that you can say in a text message, and then I'll have them read them the way they interpret it. And then I'll read it back to them a different way that it's interpreted, to see that the same text can have different variances on the emotion. So that tends to help. And then I think we also need to keep in mind too, the agents that are used to talking on the phone that haven't had this generational transition of mostly texting or dealing with kids that do, that we also need to evolve as agents too. So some of us that solely do phone calls that haven't gone into texting or using messengers or, Instagram or Facebook or different things, those do have advantages also. So I think it's just trying to understand both sides of it and trying to maneuver, through both aspects with an open mind and just having that conversation. But also the agents that only text or only want to message, use the messenger systems, ask them where they're reaching out to people, what it is, and making sure that they're using like the best use of time in those areas, if that's the way they want to communicate, but also expressing how important it is to get that verbal touch, and actually talking to somebody physically on the phone. So it's kind of you kind of have to mesh both of them. It's not, I don't think there's one right way or wrong way to do things. So.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think I always try to remember with a seller or a buyer, what is the best way for me to communicate? Would you prefer a phone call, a text message, or an email? Because now we're going to communicate on their preferred channel. And actually, one of the things that I've had to do is to really work in text messages more into my communication. But one of the things that we've got to get apparently, and I do that from a point of not being discriminatory, but our younger people used to talking to humans, this way, either face to face or using a telephone. Because I could always remember agents coming in and they go, well, I've got this problem. I'd say, well, did you talk to them yet? Well, no, but I sent them an email. No, but did you talk to them? And well, I sent them a text too. But have you actually talked to them? Because there is no communication like that where we're speaking and engaging in conversation directly. And again, face to face where we can see each other like this can make a huge difference versus using the telephone, but the telephone is so much better. And so it's a point of education. I think we need to remember people don't know what they don't know. And so we have to give that to them through our own personal experiences. And some of us got a little bit more experience and wisdom than others because we've been around for a long time. But I think that's another one, is just we've got to coach them and give high directive. I'm going to repeat often, new people have high directive. Remove the option of doing this or this. Nope, go do this. Because we know when it comes to success in real estate, in the end, it's about sitting in front of people who have the opportunity to say yes to buying or selling. How do you get that to happen? I either go to them and have conversations, or I do the things that are necessary to have them call me so I can go on those interviews. But we have to be very honest, we have to be very frank, and we have to have a very high directive. And I would say care enough to confront them. We can't let them flounder, which I'm going to jump to the next one. Actually, it is the next one. Life is happening. So this is the one where Scott brought up the guy that he was going to have all the time during the day because he was delivering pizzas. And then life happened because a baby was born and my car went to crap on me. So let's jump in, and I think this is probably going to be a fierce conversation, but what do we do for somebody in that circumstance, whatever it may be, when life in real estate happens?
What do you want to do? Ask a question. What do they want to do?
Take that further, Dan. Where are we looking?
We're looking at
right on.
Yeah, we're looking at what that individual wants, not necessarily what we want. That's the biggest thing. We got to make sure that, I guess just from a compassion standpoint, like what does that person want to do? Do they want to keep working real estate, or they want to take a break, or maybe they say they want to work, but they need help from us somehow. It's an open-ended question. You got to get them talking, because if you don't get them talking, you may not ever find out what the true problem is. Maybe the problem is not the car. He can borrow his mom's or his girlfriend's or wife's. Maybe it's just, he's like, this is just such a, pardon my French here, my life's just a shit show right now. I just need someone to listen to me. That might be enough.
Somebody to simply listen. And what we may find out is, yes, the car went to crap. And we go, well, great. So is that the only thing that's holding you back from being able to do anything? Well, yeah. Well, let me ask you, if you were to set an appointment, or gosh, Dan, if somebody said, hey, Dan, I want to list my house, and I know your car just went and crapped on you, but what would you do? Would you say, no, I can't make it, my car crapped on me, or what would you do?
Oh, I walk, bicycle, ask my mentor to drive me, maybe. I mean,
right?
Yeah.
So what that
taxi.
became was an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to overcome the excuse. Matter of fact, that's a very reasonable excuse.
Oh, yes.
Right? But still, bottom line, is there a way? If that's the problem, how do we fix it? And so I think you had a great one there. And of course, if in the end, all they're doing is, I'm sorry, but I speak this way because I think it helps understand, but if all they're doing is pissing and moaning, and they're not going to, because it becomes this, it would be, so Scott, I understand the aspect of the car. I understand that you got a new baby. I understand that you got to make money. But here's our option. We can either pick up the telephone with a baby in hand and talk to a whole lot of people, or we can sit in front of the computer and do a whole lot of stuff there. Now, do you have any other options on how you can get in front of people who could say yes to buying or selling? Then which one of those do you choose? And if they don't want either one of them, then what do we help them do?
Get out.
But where do we take them if we get to that point? We believe that's what needs to happen. Who do we bring in? Bring him in, bring in the manager. Because if it gets to that point, it's not on us. We've got to get to the point to where we believe we've exhausted all of our coaching and mentor possibilities. And once we've done that, we go share with them. And now the manager can have that conversation to help them decide, maybe we missed something. We're not perfect, right? Maybe the manager can find a different option, but allow the manager to help them decide whether or not they want to stay in the business. Because frankly, we'll have an idea within 2 or 3 weeks whether or not somebody's going to make it or not. And it all depends upon what did they do in the first week and the second week. And if they did everything, but they held off on making calls, okay, well, they did everything. There's one really obvious. We've got to get them making calls. We've got to get them making contacts. We got to get them in actions that will get people to call and talk to them. Okay. But again, confront, and that's where the fierce conversations that you've been hearing the management team throw out, is having fierce conversations with people. We owe them that to be able to make sure that happens. Let me see. By the way, if somebody has no sphere of influence, what do they have to do?
Get one.
That's it. Let's keep it simple. You're right on, Valerie. Yeah, they've got to get one. How do they get one? Oh, Karina said that. I saw Val. Your screen lit up right there. Okay.
And though I feel like just in listening, and I apologize for interrupting, I think people need to understand and tell their mentees, this job is very uncomfortable. It really is. Unless it's I've worked with forever. And even then, like, I still walk into a listing appointment with sweaty palms. Like, it still makes me anxious because I feel like I'm on an interview. I want to know, are you going to choose me over whoever, or are you going to choose me again? And when you make a phone call, if you're not uncomfortable making those calls, something's wrong. And, like I said to my mentee, she says, what do I say? I said, what do you want to hear? What do you want to hear from somebody when they're calling you, trying to provide a service to you? You want to hear they're going to make your life easier when you're in this process. So tell them that. Tell them how much easier their life will be when they hire a real estate agent that can take care of all the things from A to Z and not have to worry about any of it other than how to pack your boxes and get them to the next step. That's all you want to tell them. And if they're like, wow, I never thought of it that way, because no one else is saying that, then you're in the door. But if you, I just feel like we can't coddle our mentees because, you know, the people that don't want to make the phone call, this job requires you to talk to people. It's not old school. If you don't want to if you don't want to call, then find something else to do because that's what this job is. Sorry.
I love when you started with, and everything that came after, we can't coddle them. Matter of fact, you want to really coddle them, you feel that much about them, then tell them the truth. And that's exactly, Karina, what you just said. We can't hug them and make them feel better. No, sorry. Feel the fear. Absorb the pain and just do it because this is what it's all about. We got to talk to people. So I absolutely love that. And the bottom line, yes, you haven't got one, then go establish one. Every day you should be working on getting 5 people added into it, and we're going to stretch what you call your sphere of influence. Anybody that you've established a relationship. Valerie, you want to add?
Yeah, there's a couple things. I mean, I've joined networking groups. I've joined, community service groups. But the other thing would be helpful is like if I set up at a coffee shop, put a little sign up here to answer your real estate question,
Why not hang out where a lot of people are and say, hi, I do real estate, free answers. I love that. It's something that simple. All we've got to do is be around a place where we can talk to a lot of people. I still remember the fellow that I ran into him, and somehow we got onto the topic of business cards and how many business cards he would go through in 1 year. And he said, well, it's anywhere between 5,000 to 6,000 business cards a year he would go through. And this was all it was. He called it an arm's length. So if anybody came within an arm's length of him, they were getting a business card. And obviously, look, some people are going to go, yeah, and it goes on the ground. Anybody's been to Vegas, you know what I'm talking about. But you put things in front of people, and people are going to take the card. If they have any interest, they're going to go, hey, wait a minute. Before you know it, you've got a lead established. But there's so many simple ways, but we've got to get them doing what they're not comfortable in doing. Matter of fact, they started out in life being able to talk to anybody, do with anything when they were about this tall. And then in life, they were taught that you don't talk to strangers. We're asking people to do all the things that life programmed them not to do.
Oh, that is true.
Right? So it's going to be uncomfortable. I was just telling the group that's here that don't ask me to make a live call to a FSBO with all of them watching, because even the thought of it made the hair on my arms raise. So I don't do that, but you could put me in front of, you guys know, 150 and role play calling a FSBO. Well, I do that all the time, and that's easy, but we've got to get them in the same way. And by the way, another thing that we need to get people focused on, and I haven't got it in Speedboard, I might have put it in there, but what's one of the biggest things that they ask you? And Karina, I think it was in yours you were talking, you said it. What holds people back from making a phone call to anyone?
Fear.
And what's the fear from?
Rejection.
Fear of rejection is a huge one. Matter of fact, going the opposite direction, fear of success. Because what if somebody says yes?
What do I do now?
Bingo. And here's the one I was looking for. I don't know what to say. do we give them anything? Do we have anything for them that they would know what to say? And it's right on the thumb drive. It's right on there. And it's a script book. We should get them focused on even saying, by the way, by the end of the week, I want you to be able to quote all of the scripts, all of the core scripts, and we're going to role play them. If you had that, I'm game. Because the biggest thing that people have an issue with is somebody will say something and I won't know what to say. Or Karina, in your scenario, I think it was yours, where it was like, well, I got a call. What do I say? They don't even know what to say when they pick up the phone. So again, give them the script book, remind them that it's there, remind them that the expectation is by the end of the week. Now, if they didn't have it by the end of the week, are you going to scold them and fire them? No, we're just going to say, all right, so listen, by when can you have this memorized? And they give us the date, but we gave them an expectation. Then they created the next one that says, I will have it done by. And this is just part of the coaching. It's giving the commitment. But now they know what to say. They just need to have somebody show them what to say. Okay. Well, I'm going to move on because I see we got 15 minutes left. There's a couple of topics that just from my working with some of the mentees, what I am finding out. One, I want to work with many, if not most of you guys are doing a great job with these things. And these are the weekly reports, okay? So first thing I wanted to hit with it, the weekly meeting. What's the real purpose of the weekly meeting? Because you guys are meeting with them throughout the week. They're asking you questions throughout the week. You might be out on listing appointment with them during the week. So why do we then need to sit down with them once a week and go through this weekly mentor report? Why do we do that? Kim, I think you were responding there, but you were muted.
Keep them and ourselves accountable.
I think that's really it. It's truly just an accountability session, moving them toward their goals. Okay. Accountability toward their goals. One of the things that I found out is that they don't know why they're doing this business. So one of the things, make this note, that you should have from them is their 100 dreams. Now, if they only got 50, am I okay with that? Yeah, look, on my own, I think I'm around 74. And that's got a few checked off because I've met those. The key is to get them dreaming and starting to realize why they're doing this business, and that why we have to do the things that we don't like to do, given the option of doing them. We've got to have a reason. 100 dreams. So make sure you get a copy. Make sure that the manager's got a copy. 2, they don't realize how much money they really want to make, believe they could make. They don't know the number. You need that. You need that so that you can guide them to do the things that they need to do to make the money they want to make. So when we talk about how do I inspire them? Look, didn't you tell me that you wanted to be able to put your kids into college? Have you ever figured out how much money that's going to take to be able to do that? So how much money you got to make on an annual basis to be able to get to? How about this? What does it then break down to in regard to the number of transactions? Because if they don't know that, I mean, think about it. If I don't know how many deals I got to close, do I have any idea how many appointments I should be going on per week?
Nope.
And if I don't have any idea of how many appointments I should be going on in a week, do I have any idea of how much money I'm not making, or truly my lack of productivity? So what we really need to have is their dream sheets. What's that to an income? What's that to the number of deals you need to do? What's that in regards to the number of appointments you should be making? And how many contacts should I be doing on a daily basis? So in 21 Online, in my CB desk, when they go into CB University and they go into the, and Bob, I might need your help on this one, into CB University, the RE scoreboard. The RE scoreboard will help them set up a business plan so that they know what they need to do. It will walk them all the way through. Now, I will share with you that my thought is we might have to really fully learn how to be able to do that. And that's awesome. I'm going to share that.
Yep.
That will get them the idea of, okay, now I realize I haven't done anything. Is that, do you see where we're going? If they haven't made calls, and they should be making, here, any newbie wanting to make a fair income is going to want to be making 10 to 15 calls a day. When I talked to Alex about this, he says, what do you mean only 2 hours? I said, Alex, I'm thrilled that somebody's going to call for 2 hours. I showed him when he was 4 hours. He said, 4 hours? Give me a break. What else do they got to do? It's the kind of thing that we need to be after. If they haven't set an appointment, they've made no money. And if you know that they want to make $50,000 a year and they haven't had an appointment, we know they're not going to make it. So we need that information. And by the way, John, who's the manager here, he just walked in. We've got 3 mentors and 2 of the coaches, which is Alex and Dawn. They're here making phone calls. And Cameron, who is a high school graduate,
He had to wait to take his test to turn 18.
he'd already done the 40 hours, had to wait to take the exam because he wasn't 18 yet. Past that, by the way, in the last day of school, he was in the office. Before going to prom, he was in the office. But anyway, he's in there. He actually called the FSBO today, got an appointment at 4 o'clock. If we make them do it.
He's
And
in
actually, we've got a great kid here. If we'd all love to have this kind of a mentee, and Scott's the beneficiary of this one, but he's also the beneficiary of the pizza guy. So anyway, so that is the key to the weekly report. What I want after that, this big dog of the 1 week plan or the 1 week business plan, I'm going to share with one that I've received here. They're going to work 2 days. Now, is that an issue? Yeah, everybody's doing this. Good. Unless what might be a reason that they would only be 2 days? What would be a reason somebody would only be putting in 2 days?
Work part-time.
They're
Really good
what
job.
we'll call dual career. We're going to give a politically correct label on that. Maybe it would be 2 days, but then again, I'd be going, well, are those your 2 days off? All right, great. But here, I want you to catch this. Total hours of prospecting, 0. Buyer seller contact goal, 0. Lead generated, 0. Face-to-face listing presentation, 0. Total listing signed, 0. Buyer controlled, 0. Anybody see an issue here? Excuse, what do you mean 0? Are you you said you're working 2 days. What are you doing? It's literally the conversation we've got to have. Guys, it's okay to say this is unacceptable, but I'm always going to bring it back to them. You told me you wanted to make $50,000 in the next 12 months. If this is all zeros, how much money are you moving toward with that? If you repeat this, in fact, if you stay on this, what's going to happen to your career? We got to let them know that they're just put their career into the crapper. they might just as well leave now, and we've got to have a fierce conversation, but do one where it's you show you care. We don't need to be mean and abusive. We haven't got to call them out, but this is unacceptable. And it should be unacceptable for they themselves based upon what they're working upon and what their goal is. Okay. The only thing that I will throw out, May, June is when I'm preparing myself to begin. You want to know what I would like to know? Why? Why are you waiting? You're already spending money and you're not making any. Why? So if you ever have that, don't just write that down, but we need a why. What's going on and why would they be waiting? Couple other things and then we'll call it good. So I mentioned the aspect of the why. I mentioned the aspect of financial goals or needs, the business plan. Oh, guys, as mentors, we've got, you may remember me saying that we do have the authority to hold them accountable. We don't have the authority for the consequences for the lack of actions. So we'll hold them accountable to their goals, but we need to share with them what their consequences are of the lack of activity. By themselves, they are killing their career. The only thing we're saying is we don't want you guys to waste your time if we've got somebody who's refusing to be engaged in the office, refusing to do the activities that are necessary, because when we give them speed, we're going, hey, here's a prescription for your success. Do this, of which there's a business plan that says, here's your activities for prospecting, the income producing activities. If you do this, you should become successful. If you don't, it's because you chose to not be successful. We should have those conversations with them. The only other thing that I would like, let me throw this out also regarding the 1 week business plan. If I am working 5 hours a week, how many hours should I be spending prospecting? Even on a daily basis. I see 5. I like that answer. Okay. I love that answer because really, what else do they have left to do?
Nothing.
There's some learning activities, but outside of that, they got nothing left. Okay. So
Darwin, can you repeat that, please? I'm sorry. The phone cut out.
yeah, I'm going to say that the reality is I love 5. I think 2 is a minimum. Frankly, it should be 3 to 5 hours a day. And here's the reason I can share that. My plan in Speedboard was to give them activities that would occupy them for 6 hours. Now, what will happen? If they do the number of prospects, what are they going to have to do? Prepare for a listing appointment. They're going to go on the listing appointment. So what will they end up working that day? 8 to 10 hours. Well, guess what? Welcome to real estate. But what's left over other than if I didn't set any appointment, spend a couple more hours prospecting, talking to people, wherever that may be. So look for, I would say 4 hours, give or take an hour would really be great for anybody who's new. And then look to this. How many people per hour could they actually talk to? I'm going to say give them 5. Alex would tell you it's 10, but I think a minimum of 5, and you'd be shocked. Even take a look at your own. They're going to say, well, I'm going to prospect for 5 days. I'm going to put in 4 hours a day, which is 20 for the week, and I'm going to talk to 15 people. That's less than 1 per hour. Something's not right. So that should be 5 per hour minimum. All right. Leads generated. That's a tough one. But I'm thinking, boys, these guys want me bad and it's their own fault. Anyway, I got to think that it's about every 50 should set them one appointment. Now, that could change greatly if they're doing for sale by owners. Is it a bona fide? But at this point, they're new people, get them in front of people. I'm okay with that. Face-to-face presentation goals, that should be 2 to 3 a week for almost anyone. A minimum of 1. Because even if I'm dual career, come on, 1 a week. And most of them were wanting to get away from another job if they were hired into this company. And of course, the listings will flow from there. But just those ratios, and of course, once you get the business plan, I think that will help also. I'm going to throw one idea out for you. Your next set of business cards. I think a great thing for you could do, certified mentor. Give yourself a title. And you know, it might put you head and shoulders above somebody else because you're a certified mentor. And we might come up with a clearer, better program. But Candace saw that on one of our competitors' business cards, and she said, well, why aren't we doing this? And I'm going, I think it's a great idea. So if you put that on yours, certified mentor, I think, look, it's like I tell everybody, again, having that conversation today, it's like having a broker's license. It's a marketing tool at that point. That's what I've got for the day. Anybody have anything else that they want to share for the greater good of the group?
I just like to say thanks and thanks for the great and innovative ideas and thoughts that have come across today. Thank you.
Absolutely, Jerome. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for your sharing. We'll stay with something like this as a general format for the future. I don't want to have meetings for the sake of having meetings, but we know there's a whole lot of people that weren't here today. Share with them what you got from it, and we'll create another one. But thank you for what you do again on behalf of Chris, Bill, and the entire senior leadership team. You guys are awesome, and we're just going to keep getting better.
Hang on, Darwin, one more quick thought, sorry.
Oh, yes.
I just wanted to add a couple thoughts of some of the questions that were asked in the very beginning. So when you're talking about the text to the texting versus phone calls, I've mentored 4 kids that were fresh out of high school. They have almost killed me. However, most of them said to me at one point in time, you sound like my mother. I know from having teenagers, that's not a good comment. So what I started to do is they would text me a question and I would give them a dumb answer that doesn't answer it. Sure. Okay. And then a few minutes later, they'd eventually call me. I'm like, okay, I really couldn't answer your question by a text. It would have never worked. So let's talk about this. And so they still to this day, they'll shoot me a text and I'll shoot them a dumb answer. And they call, and they're like, they'll laugh and they'll be like, yeah, you're right. We probably have to talk about this. So that was my way of getting that point across to them that it didn't really work that way. So I think that was helpful. The pizza guy comment about the pizza guy. One thing I would say about someone who was in a job like that is I don't want this to be stereotypical, but kids working in a pizza joint is kids a lot of times. They're not making any contacts there. You know, maybe they want to look at if you've got to work part-time, I understand you have to do that to make it in this business, but maybe if they worked at Home Depot, they're going to work with an older crowd that maybe owns homes, people coming in, fixing, they're going to make contacts there. They're probably not making any real estate contacts in a pizza joint. And it's not conducive to showing houses and appointments because it's generally your evening hours. So just like talking to your mentees about stuff like that can help them, guide them to maybe stay in the business by making different choices with the other parts of their lives.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, if I add to the pizza, part of what we talked about with this particular one was how many real estate conversations do you have per night when you're delivering pizzas? And if the answer, which I think basically it was 0.
Yeah.
Then all you did was drop off a business card with it. And oh, by the way, it's a real estate guy who delivers pizza. Seriously, if that was you receiving that, is that somebody you want to work with?
But like Home Depot is a good option, something like that, that
Right,
they're making
right.
better contacts and have, you know.
Absolutely.
The transplant question, the person trying to get involved in a transplant, all I can say is volunteering. I mean, schools need coaches, they need people to read to their kids and all those type of things. You help a coach out and you got 25 parents want to know who's that? Who is that?
And Barb,
Just
by the
different.
way, for those who don't know, how many units last year was your production?
I don't remember.
89.
89?
89.
Something
Okay.
like, yeah.
So 89 transactions. She is a mother of 2 in senior high school, and they're both very athletically gifted, and she's always involved in that. She's involved with the athletic boosters. I think school board also.
Unfortunately.
So she had to get involved in that. But all of the community involvement is also work because people know her through her community involvement. But she's able to do all of these things. I want to throw that out, that inspiration, and still give you kudos because you are one of our awesome mentors also. And so there's some very wise words that have come through all of that as to how to be able to work with these younger individuals. So good stuff. I love it. All right. Well, I think that's it, gang. Again, thank you. We appreciate you. Thank you for the hour and 5 minutes. And go out, be productive, and we'll talk to you at the necessary point. Have a great one.
Good stuff. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Good rest of the day.
Is he at